the 6th. I do detect a quorum with 14 of 15 committee members here. So thank you all so much for being here. For the record, very quickly, we have Chair Porterfield and council members Allen, Cortez, Druffel, Evans, Evans Siegel, Greg, Gamble, Huffman, Kimbrough, Spain, Soror, Vice Chair Toombs, and Councilmember Webb. So thank you all so much. We did not have anyone to sign up for our public comment. The first item on the agenda is the public comment period, and we did not have anyone from the public to sign up to speak. So we will go ahead and move forward with our consent agenda. Today on the consent agenda, we have items RS 2023-65, RS 2023-66, RS 2023-70, RS 2023-72, RS 2023-73, RS 2023-75, RS 2023-76, RS 2023-77, RS 2023-78, RS 2023-79, RS 2023-80, RS 2023-81, RS 2023-82, RS 2023-83, RS 2023-84, RS 2023-85, RS 2023-86, RS 2023-87, RS 2023-88, RS 2023-90, and RS 2023-91. Are there any items that anyone would like bumped from the consent agenda? All right, we see lots of hands. We'll start off with Council Member Zulfat Soror. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. IRS 2023-72, please.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Soror. Councilmember Quinn Evans Siegel, you're recognized.
RS 2023-77, please.
Thank you so very much. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. RS 2023-75, 76, and 81.
All right, 75, 76, and 81 are off consent. And Councilmember Webb, you are recognized.
Thank you. I would like to see RS 2023-70.
All righty, RS 2023-70 has been bumped from consent. Do we have anything else that we would like to be bumped off of the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and go forward with the captions. RS 2023-65, Porterfield, Evans, Bradford, and Stiles approves amendments 1 and 2 to a detention and mitigation of COVID-19 in confinement facilities grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office to enhance and improve the practices of confinement facilities to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 and reduce the risk of virus transmission and exposure to environmental health hazards. RS 2023-66, Porterfield, Evans, Walsh, and others approves a grant to the U.S. Department of Justice to the Davidson County General Services Clerk for the Cherished Hearts Court expansion to serve justice-involved victims of human trafficking and those at risk of sexual exploitation in the Nashville, Davidson County area. RS 2023-73, Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Gloria Sawyers against the Metropolitan government for $40,000, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Injury Liability Fund. RS 2023-78, GAD, Porterfield, Stiles, and others approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of McKay Park in partnership with the Nashville Parks Foundation of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to provide funding for renovation and expansion of the playground, landscaping, and equipment upgrades at the McKay Park Community Center. RS 2023-79, Cash Porterfield Styles and Others, approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of Sevier Park to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to install a new bi-level water fountain and bottle filler at the Sevier Park Community Center. RS 2023-80, Kimbrough Porterfield Styles and Others, approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of Bells Bend Park to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation for the stabilization and restoration of the Buchanan House in Bells Bend Park. RS 2023-82, Porterfield, Evans, Allen, and Others, approves a grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Office of Family Safety to plan and implement a conference hosting Tennessee professionals who work or partner with the Family Justice Center and to increase the capacity and skills of statewide teams through instructive sharing, networking, and collaboration. RS 2023-83, Porterfield, Evans, Walsh, and Others, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Children's Services to the Office of Family Safety to support the provision of services to families who have experienced domestic violence and child abuse neglect. RS 2023-84, Porterfield Evans, approves a contract between the Metropolitan Government and AB SciEx LLC to provide toxicology unit, instrument, equipment, service, and maintenance. RS 2023-85, Porterfield, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle personal injury claim of Troy L. McLean against the Metropolitan Government for $17,500, with said amount to be paid from the Self-Injured Liability Fund. RS 2023-86, Porterfield, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the property damage claim of Nafith Abdrabal against the Metropolitan Government for $32,043.81, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. RS 2023-87, Porterfield, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle a personal injury claim of Roger Z. Bale against the Metropolitan Government for $55,000, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. And RS 2023-88, Webb Porterfield, Gamble, and Others, approves Amendment 2 to an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the acceptance of work in connection with the construction of a complete street project on Gallatin Pike from Altaloma Road to Liberty Lane. And finally, actually two more, RS 2023-90, Johnson, Sepulveda, Porterfield, and Others, approves a project modification to an agreement between the Metropolitan Government and the United States Department of Army to add 2 parcels related to the acquisition and removal of flood-prone properties in the 7 Mile Creek watersheds. And RS 2023-91, Porterfield, authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the property damage claim of Marlene Brown against the Metropolitan Government in the amount of $12,949.78, with said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. Is there anything else that needs to be bumped off of consent? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any not voting? The consent agenda passes 14 in favor, 0 against, and 0 not voting. Our first item not on the consent agenda will be RS 2023-64, Porterfield, Evans, Coopin, and Others, approves a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice for an Enhancing Community Safety and Empowerment grant to the Mayor's Office of Community Safety to implement programs aimed at mitigating community violence and enhancing community safety in Nashville. We do have Mr. Ron Johnson from the mayor's office in the back who will be able to come up and speak about this grant. And Mr. Johnson, you're recognized.
Hello, thank you so much, Chair. This grant is one that we're looking, we don't have a particular place that we're gonna put it, but it's going to be where we're gonna bring in 5 people, a case manager. We're going to have a research partner and 3 others that will be doing what we call credible messengers. But it's tied to some of the other work that we're doing, and Mike Lacey from our office will explain that, and we'll be willing to answer any questions that anyone have about it.
Thank you. When pursuing this grant, we abided by the regulations that we not be looking to fund programs that have otherwise been funded doing this work. So knowing that we have a group violence intervention program off the ground and that we've been at the cusp of having violence intervention being launched in the city, we sought for funding to supplement all of this as a holistic effort. And that's why the case manager role that would be housed at Metro Nashville would support whatever violence intervention program is able to be funded through the city council and through a Metro department. Credible messengers will work with the given programs in between them in this very important auxiliary role where there are neighborhoods that are facing very large challenges and don't have much interface with the services that are with them. Credible messengers serve as a guide between the city and other services in them, and between programs that are currently launched, like group violence intervention, and ones that are on the verge of being launched, like violence interruption. Also, a full-time research and data specialist is key to understand what we are doing that is working and what is not working. And having that role support a 3-year research programming with a local university is essential to make sure that we are lowering the violent crime and homicide rate in the city.
Thank you so very much. Vice Chair Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So previously, the council had appropriated some funds for a violence interruption pilot in the city, and we know has not gotten underway yet. How does this grant relate to that? Is this going to add money to that pot, and there'll still be that process of creating a violence interruption pilot, or is this a separate thing?
This is separate, but one thing that I did when writing for this application is I made sure that it requires Nashville actually move forward with that. What is stated in the scope of work is that these credible messengers will work with violence interruption in the city, that the case manager will be supplementing those services to help, but we need to have a third-party CBO implemented doing it. Those funds still exist, but this is funding that is supporting that work, but is really saying to the city, let's make sure that we use these fundings to fully access the resources that are available here. So I would say it fully supports that. And I put into detail in a document I provided to some members of council that when we say violence interruption, the definition of that aligns with the resolution RS 2023-2663 that you passed recently, which broadens the scope of what we mean when we say violence intervention program. And we also aren't implicating any particular department in being the contract holders of that. We're simply saying that the city needs to implement violence intervention and that this funding will support that and help it make it successful.
Thank you, Chair. So there were 2 organizations previously that had been identified as recommended for approval for grant funds. So there's still a pathway for those organizations to still receive the grant funding to do the violence interruption.
Absolutely. That's kind of one of the things we really wanted to get off the ground. And we want to revisit that to find out exactly how we could make that happen, and we could use your help and guidance in doing so. Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I saw Councilmember Webb next, and then Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Webb, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just curious, is any of the money, the $2 million, going towards anyone's salary or pay for anybody that's going to be overseeing the grant or anything?
No, there are 5 salary positions. 1 is a case manager, 3 are credible messengers, and 1 is for a data research specialist. Those are 5 FTEs at Metro. There's no additional funds for any personnel overseeing them.
Thank you, Councilmember Webb. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to clarify, I think I heard you say that you haven't decided, or there hasn't been a particular department that will oversee the Metro violence interruption messengers. If not, has there been any discussion about who would oversee that staff? I mean, would that come out of the mayor's office of community safety? Would it come from Metro Department of Health, or what department if you could just clarify that, please.
So we're actually working on exactly who's going to oversee that. There's a chance right now, our office will oversee it, but we may find another agency within Metro to oversee it so we can actually get it off the ground. We really want to get the work going and started because we've done the other parts. We really want to try and get the things to the organizations that are doing the work so we can get it started with this $2 million and those 5 positions that we have so they all can sync together along with the group violence that we've already launched as well.
Okay, so the Metro Department will be working in tandem with the community organizations as a part of the Violence Interruption Program.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Gamble, are there any other questions? Councilmember Huffman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. Is there any plans to initiate this at all with the Office of Neighborhoods to get in touch with those stakeholders in the community?
Mr. Johnson, you're recognized.
All right, so the Office of Neighborhoods, because of some of the things that they do, we're going to be collaborating with everybody. Right now, what we're thinking about is it's all hands on deck. We're going to implement this grant along with the group violence, along with hopefully cure violence going forward, or not cure violence, or violence interrupters going forward. And it's going to be all hands on deck. But we don't have any funding that goes with that. But we're all going to be looking to work together to try and address violence from all of its forms.
And the one thing that we'll say is that we do use social vulnerability and violence indexes when looking at what neighborhoods these will be focused in. So as we articulated in the grant, there's a focus in North Nashville and Antioch and in Madison. And so obviously the Office of Neighborhoods being within the same office building as us, we'll be working with them very closely to identify the people in our community, you know, not people outside of it, not people necessarily who have academic experiences, but lived experience that have that credibility in these positions that can close this gap.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Huffman, do you have any additional questions? Are there any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 14 in favor, 0 against, and 0 abstaining. RS 2023-67, Porterfield Evans Welsh Gad approves an Amendment 1 to Community-Based Treatment Services for Offenders Grant from the Tennessee Department of Correction to the state trial courts to divert eligible offenders from the Tennessee prison system by providing community supervision and treatment services. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2023-70, Porterfield, Evans, Coupin, and others. Approves Amendment 1 and appropriate additional grant funds from the Tennessee Housing Development Agency to the Metro Action Commission for Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, services to assist families with energy costs. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? Any discussion? Councilmember Webb, you're recognized.
Is there anybody that can answer on the $7 million that they've already spent? How many families that helped?
Let me see who we have. We have someone in the back who looks like they can answer that question. So I'm going to turn your mic on. And I apologize, I don't know your name, but you're recognized.
That's okay. Thank you. Marvin Cox, Family and Community Services Director for Metropolitan Action Commission. Just want clarity on the $7 million that was spent. Our program year operates October 1, so we just started our new program year. So the $7 million that's being asked about, just trying to get some clarity.
It was only stuff where y'all had spent $7 million. I guess maybe that'd have been last year, but y'all were asking for $9 million, an additional $2 million. I don't have the figures right here in front of me. Do you want me to pull it up and read it for you?
Well, we get our grant through Tennessee Housing and Development Agency. This Amendment 1 Traditionally, we get 5 million, but because the federal government is giving us additional dollars, it goes from 5 to 9 million.
Can you,
I'm sorry.
sorry, can you tell me how many families that helps?
Well, it would depend, the way the grant operates, it's based on points. So a family can get 600, a family could get 800, or a family can get 1,000. It's based on their energy burden, also their income, and whether they are a vulnerable household, meaning if they're elderly, senior, or they have a family with a child that's 5 and under. So based on those 3 criteria, that's the breakdown of what would be provided to the actual family. The payment goes directly to the energy supplier, which would be Nashville Electric Service or Piedmont Gas.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Councilmember Webb, do you have any additional questions? Thank you so very much. Do we have any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2023, thank you, Mr. Cox.
Thank you.
RS 2023-71, Porterfield Gamble, Prepty, and others, approves the First Amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2023-2251 between the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and Urban League of Middle Tennessee. Can I get a motion? Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. We have Director Hubbard here, and I know there was an explanation that was given in Planning Department, in the Planning Commission committee meeting, pardon me, but if you could give an explanation again for those who did not attend that meeting, I would appreciate it. And Director Hubbard, you're recognized.
Thank you. Good evening. Angie Hubbard, Housing Director, Metro Planning. Last year, or earlier this year, we awarded $2 million to the Urban League in partnership with Holiday Ventures, not Holiday Properties. I misspoke in the previous committee meeting, to construct affordable housing at the River Chase development. With the Barnes Fund, this was initially going toward 116 units with incomes at or below 60% of our area median income. This is part of Holiday's overall commitment and Urban League's commitment to construct 140 affordable units. That number is not changing with this amendment. What is changing is the number of Barnes Fund's units we're going to receive, because Urban League and Holiday received housing choice vouchers from, project-based vouchers from MDHA, which allows them to have deeper affordability in the project. Having the Barnes Fund match up with these project-based vouchers, because we need additional subsidy to get deeper affordability for lower incomes, is necessary to make the financing work. So that's why this amendment's taking it from 116 units, that would have been up to more units at 60%, down to that deep affordability. The other thing that having this allows it to do is have more units for families at this income level. Previously, the Barnes Fund units were going to be scattered along studios, 1s and 2s, and some 3 bedrooms. But now the amendment will also have all of the 3-bedroom units for families at 0 to 30% of the area median income, which is so desperately needed in this county. So we're super grateful. Normally, we wouldn't be advancing an amendment that reduces the number of Barnes funded units, but because we're getting deeper affordability with this, we're in support. So is the Housing Trust Fund Commission. The grantees from both Holiday Ventures and Urban League are here to answer any questions you have about how the financing's layering.
Thank you, Director Hubbard. Before I go to the committee, I do have one clarifying question. I know you said that this reduces the number of Barnes-funded units, but gives us deeper affordability. You also said it doesn't reduce the total number of affordable units. So we still have the same number of units that will be considered affordable. It's just the funding is shifting on some of those units to make them more deeply affordable. Is that correct?
Correct. The commitment has been 140 units affordable. That is still the number that will be created by this partnership. It's just the now with the way that we're aligning the funding is to get that deeper affordability that's so desperately needed.
Thank you so very much, Director Hubbard. Any discussion from committee members? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2023-72 approves a contract between the Metropolitan Government and Johnson Control Incorporated to provide installation, upgrades, repairs, maintenance, service support, and programming of the P2000 access control system and the Pelco video system and supporting systems for the Metropolitan Government. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Soror, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This is another one of the sole source contract that we have, and I'm grateful to Ms. Lane for agreeing to meet with me and talk about them over. But for this particular one, in looking at the analysis, the part of the analysis that caught my eye is with the detailed cost that is attached. On the analysis, the cost for a access control technician on our contract is $196 per hour. And then for after hours, it's $294. So my question is, I understand sole source, we cannot go anywhere, but is there a process in this where we're actually checking that the costs of what we're getting is not inflated? And I just want to know if anyone is checking that, because when I Google access control technician, the highest that I got was $90 an hour. So not to say that's what it should be, because each profession is different, and I know the technicalities. I don't know what this does, but it's as part of our process for these sole sources where we're not going anywhere else. Are we double checking the rate that we're being quoted before it's finalized?
Thank you, Councilmember Soror. Director Lane, would you like to comment? You are recognized.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that question, Councilmember Zuara. The requirement set forth in the procurement code as it relates to sole source contracts is that they have to be negotiated. So whenever we have a sole source contract, we do engage in a process of negotiation in an attempt to get to the best value for Metro. And that is more than anything to make sure that we're complying with the code. Now, as you can imagine, and I think is at the heart of your comment, is that with sole sources, there's really a limitation on the extent to which many of these sole source providers are willing to negotiate their pricing. It unfortunately happens when they know that they're the only provider. We can push back and ask for best and final and kind of sharpen your pencil. But when we get that final number, that is typically the number that we have to go with. In the case of this, which is a P2000 for Johnson Controls and Access System, it's a little more specialized, and the infrastructure across many departments and many buildings within departments utilizes this infrastructure, this access infrastructure. So I think that we, really are in a position where we've got to have, the maintenance on the existing, items that we have there, and these are the best rates that we could get to. But I think that, when you and I meet and we discuss the sole source process, the bulk of which is really designed to ensure that we are maximizing social inclusion, we can also further the conversation around the methodology that is used to negotiate those contracts. But it is a requirement set forth in the regulations that we negotiate.
Thank you, Director. Councilmember Soror, did you want to be recognized again? Okay. Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions. RS 2023-74, Porterfield Evans Prepty approves an emergency management performance grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Office of Emergency Management to subsidize the emergency management program. And I believe we have Mr. Mark Young here to speak to this grant, if anyone has any questions on it. Okay. Seeing none, I guess you're off the hook, Mr. Young. Did we get a motion? Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Sorry, y'all. I think I may have skipped that. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. RS 2023-75, Porterfield, Evans, Allen, and others approves Amendment 2 to an opioid overdose reduction program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs to the Metropolitan Board of Health to address prescription drug and opioid misuse, save lives, and reduce crime through a comprehensive and collaborative approach. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tom Sharp answered these questions before the meeting, but I would like to get it on the record so if someone from health could come up and just explain what this actually does and if it is actually treating people for addiction disorder or how it could lead to that happening in the future.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Allen. And Mr. Sharp, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This one cannot be used for treatment. There is other money in the system that we are trying to route now. It's in procurement at this point for treatment. It probably won't be, clearly won't be at the health department, at least not all of it. Some pieces of it might be, but most of it will be out in the community at non-government agencies and so forth. We're trying to knit a system together that will function as a system. This one is specific to monitoring and education. So they do a lot of helping people understand who to call, who to contact if they have issues, where to find Narcan, how to use it, when to use it, that sort of thing. It's largely a monitoring and harm reduction grant. And this is a no-cost extension. We got in a situation where we couldn't spend it during COVID and through some staff upheaval, and they allowed us to extend it and use this money going forward.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Allen. Any additional questions? All right, is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. RS 2023-76, Coupon Porterfield Styles and others, approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of Fort Nashville to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to fund the purchase and installation of new signage at Fort Nashville. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Councilmember Allen, you recognized.
Thank you. Just had a question of the analysis said that they're working with parks on what the signs look like. I just wondered if they were also working with historic, since this is a historic site.
Do we have anyone here from Parks? Thank you so much. You are recognized.
Good evening, Shanita White. In this case, this one did not have to go through the Historic Commission.
Councilmember Allen, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you. Could we just get a little bit of information about the content of the signs then?
Absolutely. Ms. White, you're recognized.
That's strictly going through the Friends of Fort Nashville. They have not provided us of what the signs would say and which signs would be replaced. But they will, as they stated in their letter, they will be in contact with us on the installation.
Councilmember Allen, any follow-up questions?
No follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question based on that, Ms. White. Will that information be provided to Parks and to the council prior to installation? Is that something that you all receive before it's installed?
We can ask them for it. They do provide us when they are ready. When they get ready, they do contact the maintenance staff when they are ready for the install. And we can definitely get that information to you once they tell us exactly which signs it is and what they will have on them.
Thank you. We would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. RS 2023-77, Porterfield, UN Styles and others approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of Warner Parks to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to provide funding for the purchase and installation of a Metropolitan Historical Commission historical marker for the 1811 house in Percy Warner Park. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Quinn Evans Siegel, you're recognized.
I just have a question about the historical marker and how the wording came about. I read what was proposed in the packet, and it mentioned the family and the family's descendants that lived there, but there were numerous over the years enslaved persons as well who lived on the site and were owned by that family, and there was no recognition in the historical marker of any of those persons. And so I'm just trying to figure out where this language came from and if we couldn't maybe make it a little bit more inclusive.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Evans Siegel. Ms. White, are you available to come and address that? You're recognized.
The wording was submitted to the Historical Commission, and they approved it, so I think that would be more of a question for them to answer.
Councilmember Evans Siegel, would you like to be recognized?
Is anyone from historical here to answer that question?
I do not see anyone. You said what? So we have two options. This is going before public facilities, so we can ask someone from the Historical Commission to come tomorrow to get those questions answered. You also could move for a deferral if you would like more time to address this. Councilmember Quinn Evans Siegel.
I am not on public facilities and unfortunately cannot be at that meeting tomorrow. So I would move to defer this one meeting so that we can get that question answered.
There's a motion for a one meeting deferral. Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the deferral? My question is, would a deferral have any impact on this grant, Ms. White?
I don't think there's a timing issue on it unless, let's see. No, it doesn't say anything, but they approved the wording in their July meeting, so I don't think it has an impact on our end unless the Friends of Warner Park had an issue, but they do understand council approval is needed.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. White. Is there any additional discussion on the deferral? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstention? Deferral motion passes 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting, and that was for a one meeting deferral. RS 2023-81 Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle a personal injury claim of Caleb Smith against the Metropolitan government in the amount of $150,000, and that said amount to be paid out of the self-insured liability fund. Is there a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Allen, you're recognized. Just kidding. Now you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we usually have about 2 of these every council meeting, and for whatever reason, we have 5 this council meeting, which just makes me nervous, and this is the biggest one. And I usually ask what the follow-up with the employee or whatever at fault is, and sometimes it's just a written reprimand or something like that. In this case, I would be interested to know, this is an example where someone fell into a stairwell. Has a light or a railing been installed in that area to prevent that from happening again?
Thank you so very much. We have someone from administration that is going to address that. You're recognized.
Sure. Hi, I'm Laura Fox from Metro Legal. 4 of the settlements that you have are typical car accidents where somebody just wasn't looking correctly or backed into something. That's 4 of the settlements you have today. We have a lot of Metro cars around and they get into accidents. The one that you're talking about is in Centennial Park near the Arts building, and it was an empty space and it had been built without some safety features, and then that part of the building was no longer in use for years and brush and trees had grown up in that area, and that's why the person didn't see it. And so since then, it's been fixed with a fence so that no one could fall in that area.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Fox. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. We are down to the last two items, y'all. Thank you for bearing with us. RS 2023-89, Welsh Porterfield Gamble and others, approves a project modification to an agreement between the Metropolitan Government and the United States Department of Army to add 2 parcels related to the acquisition and removal of flood-prone properties in the Mill Creek, Sorghum Branch, and Whitmore Branch watersheds. We have Jim Snyder here from Metro Water. Mr. Snyder, if you could explain this to us, we would appreciate it. And Tom Palco.
Jim Snyder, and I'm going to defer to the expert, Tom Palco.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. I'm Tom Palco, Metro Water Services. So this is a partnership agreement with the Corps of Engineers. Originally, this project has been going on for about 5 years now. There's originally 44 properties on there. We have the authority to buy these through eminent domain, but we bought them all with willing sellers. So as we go through a neighborhood and buy houses, we have some people that say they totally don't want to be participating, and we can drop them off. And then the Corps of Engineers can bring people on that we come in contact with and says, hey, I would like that to happen over here. So if the houses are next door in the same boat as the other one, as far as the same kind of risk as future flooding, we're able to switch some of these properties out. So we're dealing with willing sellers, and we're able to remove some folks from a very dangerous place to live. So that's what this is. We've already done this on Mill Creek. We've already dropped off 6 and added 6. This is probably going to be the last time we come to you because we're about out of money and about of interest and about out of time on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Palco. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. And our last item on the agenda, we have a bill on second reading, BL 2023-74. Taylor, Porterfield, and Parker approves Amendment 2 to a contract between the Metropolitan Government and KCI Technologies Incorporated for Jefferson Street intersection improvements. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Councilmember Evan Siegel, you're recognized.
This matter was deferred in Transportation and Infrastructure for 2 meetings, and I would move that it be deferred here for 2 meetings as well.
Is there a second? Thank you. A deferral motion for 2 meetings has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? 2 meeting deferral passes, 14 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstaining. And then I want to recognize Councilmember Soror, who had a question on RS 2023-67, which was number 4 on the agenda. Councilmember Soror, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I know, I don't know what happened, but I know we've passed it, but I wanted to ask the question, just in case someone is here that can answer it, or maybe they can get the answer later. In looking at the detailed analysis for this particular resolution, it says that we're doing the amendment because of a change in statute, and I was wondering what the state in statute was. Also, it says that there will no longer be, it says it will only be for supervisory items only, but initially was supervision and treatment. So my question also is, does that mean this will no longer do treatment? And if it's not doing treatment, are there other treatment options?
Thank you, Councilmember Sora. I do not believe we have anyone here, but can we get that question answered and get that answer submitted to Councilmember Sora as well as the rest of Budget and Finance? Okay, thank you. Director Darby will reach out. Do you think there's any way we can possibly get that before we vote on it tomorrow? Maybe? You'll try? Okay, thank you. Thank you. And with that, Budget and Finance is adjourned. Thank you for your time.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.